Today's show, the Dallas Mavericks win in a rock fight against the Los Angeles Clippers in Game 2 to tie up the series. What did Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving do that proved to me that they are the leaders that can lead this team to the next level? We'll talk about all that and more in today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
Locked On Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member, channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, where we let it ride. That's right. In enemy territory. Here.
Love it.
Down on the bottom. The LA Clippers lose. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen today, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, leave a 5-star review, like the video on YouTube, and comment anything below. Let me know in the comment section what's one thing that stood out to you in this Mavs win against the Clippers. And joining me, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And joining me, as always, on a post game, he's as amped as I am. What you got for me, Slightly Biased?
When people ask you what the hell this is all about, this is what the hell it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to use another word. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Championship.
Oh, I thought you were going to use a different word than that. I was ready for it.
Oh, how do you sleep after? I mean, you're at least on West Coast time. I don't know how I'm supposed to sleep within the next hour.
I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, it's only 10:20 when I'm recording this.
I'd be at the nearest bar talking to whatever LA celebrities out there.
Maybe I will do that after this.
Talk to them about PJ Washington's defense tonight.
We'll talk about PJ Washington's defense. We'll talk about Derrick Jones Jr. making an impact. We'll talk about Dereck Lively, the rookie, making an impact in this game. We'll talk about all that, but I got to start here. Oh, can we just let it ride a little more? That's right. You only get to do these for playoffs. Just so much, you know?
Yeah, only 15 more of these.
That's
gotta soak them all in.
That's right. But I want to start here. I want to start with Luka and Kyrie Irving, because these two guys, we railed on them after game 1. We went after them and basically said, hey, these two guys were the ones that we expected to come out and be ready, and the ones to say, all right, we've been here before. We've been in big moments. We've won a championship. We've won EuroLeague. We've won, been to the Western Conference Finals. We've hit the biggest shot in NBA history. Like, we've done this before. And for those two guys to come out and look the way they did in the first half of game 1, it was just a concerning thing where you go, what is happening to this team right now? That these two guys that you've relied on so heavily and have come through in the clutch and come through in big moments so much this season, that have pushed this team and led this team and been great leaders, and we've been so complimentary, for them to look that way in the first half of game 1, to dig themselves into such a hole where they only score 8 points in a quarter, to then come out in this game. And it wasn't just offensively. And we'll talk about their offense. We'll talk about their big buckets and all that. To me, defensively, those two guys just put such an emphasis on that end, that those two guys have felt like took that mantle, took that responsibility to say, hey, to guard this Clippers team, especially with Kawhi Leonard back, you've got to defend all 5 positions. There is no hiding on anybody, really, in this Clippers lineup. And we knew this, and especially with Kawhi Leonard, there's really no hiding on anybody.
Yeah.
And Luka and Kyrie really stepped up in this moment.
Because I want to, we did rail on Luka and Kyrie, and I want to give a huge shout out to Luka specifically, because he got a lot of pushback. And look, this is what happens in the playoffs, is people start watching teams that they have not watched at any point during the regular season. That's just how it's always going to go. And the prevailing narrative is, oh, well, they don't play defense and Luka doesn't try on defense, despite the fact that that's not been at all the case over the back 3-4 months of the season.
It's true sometimes, but not every game. He's not Trae Young out there.
Right. It's been true in the past, but over the last 3 or 4 months, this is not the basketball team that people are used to when it comes to the Dallas Mavericks, which is also why, I forgot these defensive rock fight games, just the level of stress and just the roller coaster of emotion that they are. because it's different than the offensive slugfest. Because like each made basket is like, oh my god, I don't know if we can come back from a 6-point hole. Like that's just how it feels.
Well, with this Clippers team, it would be like a 16-point hole. I mean, that was one of my keys to this whole series and doing all the many 9-episode previews that we did for the series is that I don't think this Mavericks team can keep up with the Clippers team if they're going to score 120 points. This Mavs team's not built the same that they were a couple months ago, where it was, well, we can only score 120 points, and then the other team can only score 115. We just can't win those games anymore. And I think that this is the way they're going to have to win some games like this. Now, they'll shoot better. They'll be in better situations. The offense will come easier at times. Like it was rough at times. Still 105 offensive rating for the Mavericks. Not their best. But I think that the way that they can defend, and one of my big questions going into this playoff season is will the defense translate? And so far, I mean, I think it will. Like especially if you look at this game. I mean, they forced the Clippers into some tough shots. It was a Magnets game for the Clippers for sure. They missed a bunch of shots. There's a lot of shots where I looked at and go, man, the Mavs really got lucky on that one. But they forced the Clippers into a lot of shots they did not want to take. Yeah,
and a lot of that is Luka and Kyrie clamping up on defense. I want to go before I derailed myself because that's just how my brain operates. I don't even know what tangent I went off on. But Luka defensively, I thought was very good tonight. Like genuinely, I thought every possession you could just tell. Right, he's hiking his shorts up. He's low in a defensive stance. Like he really was going for it tonight defensively. And I thought in the first half, again, I thought like the Clippers are just throwing so many looks at Luka and the Mavs. I mean, they switch it up like every other possession. Like it's crazy how they have this defensive continuity to do this. Credit to Ty Lue and, credit because they've played together for so long at this point and just pretty much adding in Harden. But like I thought Luka was still kind of struggling to really dissect the defense and was still a little indecisive, which is just so rare for Luka. Like you just never see that from him because he picks apart every defensive coverage. But this one is just, they're just throwing so much at him. And it feels good to be 1-1 because Luka's going to figure it out at some point. But man, he was locked in defensively, and the Mavericks don't win this game if Luka's 70% on defense or complaining to the refs or doing the thing where I'm gonna let the guy drive past me, but I'm gonna try and do the swipe on the way. But huge credit to both of the stars for their defensive intensity tonight.
And at a certain point in the third quarter, I looked at both Luka and Kyrie and I said, man, they've been exerting a lot of energy in this game. I just hope they have enough to close this, and they did. Luka hit some big shots late. Kyrie hit some big shots late. Luka hit that shot, that step back on Harden with 1:26 left to go, up 9, the Mavs' largest lead of the game. He turns to the sideline. He starts screaming at the sidelines, with the benches, the opposite side with the Clippers fans and all that, or at least the fans that were given tickets to sit courtside at a Clippers game. I don't. Can we make that joke?
Speaking of that, Cuban, if there's an open courtside seat for Friday night, I would love. That's not here.
Right next to the Mavs bench, so that if and when Jason Kidd could ever get ejected, which I don't think he has.
They're gonna pan to the bench, and I'm gonna be in the coach's huddle like, hey,
who's this kid with the iPad we let in here on the sidelines? But Luka had some left in the tank, and they just needed it. And you know what else? They needed one more guy to come with them, and it was PJ. And we'll talk about him and how big he was, because that was just a massive performance from him on both ends of the ball. But I think the big thing in this game was Luka and Kyrie stepping up on the defensive end and then just having enough on offense, which has kind of been their recipe for the last couple of months.
Yeah, and also, I mentioned earlier about the Luka, still trying to figure out this Clippers defense. 2 for 3 from 3 in the fourth quarter, 7 points, also 4 assists and 0 turnovers. So, a lot of that is too. PJ Washington started hitting shots. Maxi started hitting shots. Like the role guys started hitting shots. But one thing I liked a lot that they did in the second half of game 1, and again, I don't know why they just don't do these things early on. They're just trying to fill out the team, but it's getting Luka post touches immediately. Like let's not do let's sit here for 10 seconds and then try to get a screen. Like Luka gets a post touch, and it's so many things can happen from there. And we saw the play that we've talked about so many times over the course of the season where James Harden's guarding Luka post up. Kyrie's one pass away. Russell Westbrook's on him. And the moment that Russ, just a really stupid double team from Russ. You can just tell the Clippers were mad at him after that. But the moment that Russ starts going towards him, Kyrie Irving has a wide open 3 and he hits it. Like that's, huge. I mean, so Luka's got to figure out this defense. he's just going to, because that's who he is.
Yep.
And man, I mean, what a huge win.
A massive win in a rock fight where both teams just did not have their best offense, but the Mavs found a way to win. And this is the big thing. We've been saying that they keep finding ways to win. And so coming up, let's talk about how they found the way to win. It was with Luka and Kyrie, and it was with PJ Washington. How big was he? We'll talk about him coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by DoorDash. Slightly, you're a big DoorDash guy, right?
Yeah.
Huge. Love some DoorDash. Get it delivered to you. If you're sitting at home and you're listening to this and you're saying, man, what a great win. I just want to celebrate in some way. Celebrate with DoorDash. Get something delivered to your house. And right now you can get something delivered for your mom on DoorDash too. If your mom is always like, flowers are nice. Oh, thanks. But some flower companies, you never know what they're going to give you and all that. You know exactly what you're going to get with DoorDash because they give you the meals that you want and the food that you want. So shop for your mom, get thoughtful gifts that she deserves, the convenience that she needs. Choose same-day delivery, schedule a week ahead, and do that. Do it with flowers as well. Do whatever you want for your mom on Mother's Day. Get all your Mother's Day gifts in one place. Get 50% off your next order, up to $15 when you spend $15 or more on your next flower, convenience, grocery store, or retail order. Now with Locked On NBA. Again, that's Locked On NBA as the code. Order using DoorDash today. Terms apply. Again, use that code Locked On NBA to get your mom something nice on Mother's Day. Also, want to talk to you about Monopoly Go. Monopoly Go. A lot of us are pretty competitive. You watch one of these games, and there's a bunch of Clippers fans around me, and I go, man, I just want these people to just be quiet at the end of this game. Just want them to not be happy at the end of this, you know? If you got that same mentality, if you got that killer instinct, you could have that killer instinct for Monopoly Go as well. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on the Monopoly game that you know and love, but you get to play on not one board, but hundreds of different boards all across crazy different locations, even the moon. Be like Jokic, take it to the moon, like Groot. Build up amazing cities that bring you money. The best part is you can mess with friends and play with them as well. You can play and charge them rent. You can also check the leaderboard to see who is winning in Monopoly Go. Again, check it out on the App Store or Google Play. Download Monopoly Go free on the Google Play or the App Store. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. Appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you to everybody that I saw here at Game 2. Amazing. A Mavs season ticket holder, shout out to David, gave me a ticket, so I sat really close. It was really awesome. It was the best.
Nice.
I really appreciate it. I got the they do the seat upgrade at certain games where they put you in like a leather chair. It wasn't a leather chair. It was just a normal chair, but I did get to sit really close, and it was great.
What an awesome experience to watch your team on the road in a playoff game that close.
With my laptop in my lap, among all the fans, while I was just sitting there taking notes like a weirdo. But man, awesome! Got to meet a lot of you people here, and yes, we get to let it ride today. Absolutely, so many people have told me that we need to let it ride today, and we absolutely can. And this is why Luka and Kyrie really stepped up in big moments. But PJ Washington deserves his flowers too. 18 points, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks for PJ. Hit 3 threes and 5 free throws. And just some absolutely massive moments in this game. What did you see from PJ?
First and foremost, PJ and the other role guys defensively, I think so far this series have been tremendous. I mean, they've been unbelievably good. And all game long, I mean, for the role guys, it was rough, man. Like, it was rough for the first 36 minutes of this game. I mean, we're talking missed layups. I mean, missing open threes is one thing because I think just shooting variants and stuff, it comes and goes, and it's going to bite the role guys in the ass at some point. But missing layups and turnovers and free throws, like it was rough, very rough. It looked, I don't want to say, but it looked almost a little too big for some guys just off on the offensive side.
Well, Gafford admitted that after game 1. Yeah. He admitted that, hey, it was too big moment may have been too big, and I didn't step up and all this. And I mean, if Gafford's admitting it, it's got to feel the same way for other guys too.
Yeah, I just don't like putting that out there. Like, it looked too big for him, and then
Well, he didn't say it in those words. I'm definitely putting words in his mouth for sure.
It goes viral because this is a nationally syndicated show, and next thing leads to another.
Syndicated? Where do you think we're played?
Oh, this isn't on ESPN.
It's on 107.3 KNFMB.
Well, shout out to KNFMB, man, because
my made-up radio station call sign.
But man, those threes in the fourth quarter, and and not only that, Mavs take a timeout. I think it's either tied or they might be down, and you get 5 very quick points from PJ Washington, a little runner off the glass, a 3, and it's just like, okay, here's what here's what the Mavericks have been waiting for. They've just been waiting for one single guy. One guy to step up and make their mark on this game, because that's what you need. And it was funny because Tim Hardaway Jr. got hurt, and I'm thinking in the back of my head, my God, they might need somebody with Tim Hardaway's confidence to just come out here and shoot or do something. But man, PJ Washington stepping up in that moment was so big.
And there's moments in this game where you talk about it feeling big for a couple guys. There were moments in this game where guys were turning down open shots, and
that's the 2020.
That 2022 run was so special because just no one turned down a shot. Not Dinwiddie, not Dorian, not Bullock, not Maxi. Like, anytime they got a shot, it was drilled into them all year, because that's the way they had to win games. It was drilled into them. You're taking that shot. Be confident in your shot. And Luka and Kidd and Brunson and everybody, like, made sure that all those role guys were confident in their shot. And this team has not had enough time to do that and has not had to win games in that way. And we're not so reliant on the three that they absolutely had to have it. And so there was a lot of shaky, should I take this three, should I not? And PJ was the one role player. Maxi had a couple where he took it like this, but PJ was the one role player where if he got that open three, he was taking it. And it paid off for him in the end. And that kind of confidence in just his second playoff game he's ever played, maybe his, like, second biggest game of his life. I mean, maybe the first biggest game of his life. Definitely in the NBA, because he's only played in play-in games with the Hornets. Like, is it maybe his... like, only the second meaningful game he's ever played?
Do not poo-poo the play-in tournament like that.
They got destroyed in those games.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. I was like, what was that team in the East a couple years ago that lost by like 40 2 years in a row?
It was the Hornets. It was the Hornets with PJ. They got absolutely destroyed. So, but all that to say, for him to have that kind of confidence, to take that shot and to take all those shots, to take that floater too. I thought he was going to throw the lob, which is something I called for in our changes episode. But for him to hit that floater, those free throws late, like, just ice in his veins, nails from PJ Washington. Huge moment, and the Mavs need him to really grow into these moments, and this was a really big night for him.
And I like him if they're going small, which, are we going to talk about Maxi Kleber at some point? Because, wow.
Absolutely.
But if they're going small, I like PJ in the middle on these screens. I like him setting the screens, and I like him getting the ball in the middle of the floor. I just think out of that configuration, like, he's the one I feel the most confident with. Like, I forgot what game I was watching some breakdown of game one, and someone was like, Maxi Kleber, who's not a good passer. I was like, well, Maxi's not like a terrible passer, actually. It's like,
he makes good decisions, I think. For the most part.
He makes good decisions. But I like PJ in the short roll because he does have that floater that he's not afraid to go to. And the good news about this is, at least like you would think, in just what people say all the time, is that the home games in the playoffs is where the role players, like, really get going.
Right.
Like, that's their confidence, it's their home crowd, it's their home, nets and their home backdrops. Like, that's where they're comfortable. And every time they make a three, the crowd goes crazy. Like, I mean, winning this game is so big. It just is for so many reasons.
With Kawhi coming back, with it being a road game, Mavs only the second second visiting team to win a playoff game so far, with the Pacers and now the Mavs. Yeah, absolutely massive. And to split these two games too, because if you'd say, hey, Kawhi plays one game, the Mavs split the two in LA, you'd be like, oh yeah, absolutely. But still a wasted opportunity.
I would say the funny thing is if you told Mavs fans that, I think most would say they're going to lose the Kawhi less game and win the Kawhi game, aren't they?
Right. No,
like,
absolutely.
Yeah, if you told me that before, I'm like, I guarantee you they lose the game that Kawhi does not play. Like, it's like the most obvious outcome.
But no, the Mavs get one role player to step up, and the Clippers got Zubats to get 13 and 12, but Harden had 22, Paul George had 22, Kawhi had 15, and they need one role player to step up, and they really didn't get anybody else on their side to step up when the Mavs got PJ.
I mean, Norm Powell hit that 1-3 where it was like,
had the open one late that I thought for sure was going in.
Yeah, that open one late. But that like end of shot clock, he played great defense, and Norm Powell just, I mean, it's not really a prayer. It was a decent look, but that's just a back-breaking shot. And in that moment, I'm trying to look at the score here, try to figure out like how much that put the Clippers up. But that felt, with just how much of a rock fight this game really was, that felt almost like oh man, like that could be like a huge swing moment in this game. But yeah, it's just, and I want to say this again, like the role guys offensively needed to be better. Defensively, they've done a great job. They just have.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
So
they absolutely have. And coming up, let's talk about some of those role guys. Let's talk about Maxi. Let's talk about Derrick Jones Jr.'s impact. Let's talk about Lively and Gafford and that whole thing, and Lively starting the second half and Gafford's injury. We'll talk about all that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds where you can place bets on the games. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. Right now, do they have Mavs Clippers? Mavs Clippers game 3 in Dallas. Back at home in the bed. -4. Mavs are favored in that game, so they start a -4 favorite. You usually get like 3 points if you're at home, so the Mavs get an extra little point there. You'd think Kawhi would play since he played tonight, so that one's interesting. Check that out. And are the Mavs favored again in the series? They are. They're back to -140. They weren't favored before game 2, but they are back to favored in the series now. So all kinds of stuff on FanDuel. Go check it out. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make your first bet an automatic win. Get that $150 in bonus bets. You can use it on all kinds of other Mavs stuff or anything else you want to. Maybe on the Rangers, definitely not on the Cowboys. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Also, check out BetterHelp. Everybody has things in their life that stress them out. Maybe it is a game 2 where your team just doesn't seem to be able to score a lot of points, and you're like, man, why is this stressing me out? Maybe it's your team losing. Maybe you're a Clippers fan watching this, and your team losing stresses you out so much and makes you so frustrated that you need to talk about it with somebody. Go check out BetterHelp. They have all kinds of different therapists that can help you. If you match with somebody at first and you don't really vibe with them, you can change at any time. They expect that. They expect kind of a feeling out period. So go check it out. Therapy is different for everybody. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports teams. It's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible, suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. Again, BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, Slightly, let's talk about the rest of this game. The other factors in play on this one. You mentioned Maxi Kleber earlier. He plays just about 28 minutes, hits 2 threes, 6 rebounds, one of them on the offensive end that came really late. That was a pretty big play on that. And he was a +9. I thought he just played really big minutes. And he's become that player where you go, are you watching both ends? Or are you just watching on offense? Are you just looking at how many shots he made in this game? Because I think his impact goes a lot farther than just how many shots he hits and doesn't hit in this, or how many times Luka yells at him and doesn't yell at him at times. But Maxi, I thought, just played such a big role in this game, and they closed with them late.
Yeah, dude. I mean, Maxi's defense, I think we were talking about on the show, like the preview. Like, this is some of the best Maxi defense has played in his career. Like, it's just like feels like vintage Maxi. And I mean, he had possessions where he was guarding Kawhi. He had possessions when they were going small where he was, doing a great job on Zubac. Zubac had, what did he have? 13 and 12, but he went 5 of 12 from the field. Like, you almost eliminated that as like this horrifying, scary factor entirely. And a big part of that was Maxi Kleber's defense on him late in the game. And offensively, look, it's ugly. He knocked down 2 threes in this game, so that's nice. But you watch the games, and the defenses do respect him. It's not like they're letting him shoot. It's not like they're completely leaving him by himself. And that floor spacing, especially in a series like this, where the Clippers are not helping, like they're not sending a ton of help. There's times where they will trap when it's advantageous, and there was times in this game where they pretty much said, "All right, role guys on the Mavericks are missing dunks. Like somebody's just gonna have to make an open dunk before we stop doubling Luka or Kyrie." But his spacing just opens up the floor for Luka and Kyrie to do Luka and Kyrie things, and he was unbelievable tonight. I mean, he played his ass off.
Absolutely.
He deserves a ton of credit.
7:41 left in the game. Maxi had that swing pass to PJ for that 3 in the corner to tie the game. And then Luka's 3 that he, the first one where he hits the step back 3 and starts streaming to the sidelines, and it was capped off a 9-0 run. That was a big play from Maxi. He had another one where Luka had amazing defense on Kawhi with like 5:40 left in the game, and Maxi and PJ are both fighting for the rebound and fighting with Westbrook, who was just flying all over the place, and Maxi finally came away with the rebound. That was a massive play. You kind of like poo-pooed his threes, but he hit a 3 with 2:02 left to put the Mavs up 87-81. That was a massive, massive play. And then him and PJ both got a stop on Westbrook and Kawhi right after that. And then Luka hits the 3 to cap off the largest lead of the night at that point. I mean, just massive, huge plays that he made in this game. The offensive rebound with like 7 minutes left to basically seal it, where Kyrie got fouled again. Man, just absolutely huge, massive plays from Maxi. We got Gafford started and played for a little while, and then he was feeling his lower back was kind of bothering him, and so he got taken out of the game, went to the locker room, came back, ended up playing twice after he went back to the locker room, and they just decided to go with Lively for more minutes, for the other center minutes. Lively played almost 21 minutes, 9 rebounds, 2 of them on the offensive end, 7 points for him. He had an assist, he had a steal, should have had some blocks, but man, just a massive game from a rookie too. Don't just play in some really big moments.
Yeah, his rim protection and deterrence has been really big in this series. Just feels like anytime he's on the court, there's just nothing in the paint. And when a perimeter guy does get beat, whether it's Lively or whoever it is, who's the low man, is just right there, ready to help. And then the Mavs have been rotating incredibly well too off of that. Like defensively, they've been incredibly locked in so far. And Lively's just been, as a rookie, man, 7 and 9. Like that's nothing to sneeze at. The free throws are a little concerning to me, admittedly, because he went 3 for 6 there, and one of those makes was very, very fortunate. But
Mark Cuban, I think, had like a laser pointer and was like trying to guide it into the basket.
That thing in golf, if a putt's close and then a shadow hits it, it goes in or something like that.
Can we for 1 second talk about Cuban and like some of the like secondary bench guys, so like your Alex Fudges and others, like standing up basically the whole game, and Cuban like just standing there with them. None of the coaches, just Cuban and 3 players basically the whole game. The whole game. There's no other minority owner. Like even Jay-Z, when he owned the Nets, did not do this.
I mean, Steve Ballmer's just doing gyrating in his chair. Like I don't even think they should be showing it on TV.
I stayed for a night with a family friend who's been like a grandmother to me, and we went back and we watched Game 1 again, and she doesn't know anything about the NBA, and she sees Steve Ballmer and she sees him going crazy on the sidelines, and she's like, "Wow, that fan is very passionate about their team."
He is. Yeah, you got to give him that. But
so the other thing though, so we talked about Lively, we mentioned that with Gafford and all that, and that decision that they had to make. Can we do one thing that we never do during post game wins though?
What's that?
The whistle in this game was insane.
Oh my god!
I mean, if they lose, I mean, we're on here talking about the difference between the fouls Harden gets and the fouls that Kyrie gets. I mean, we were talking about that probably at the beginning of the show, but it was, I was sitting 40 feet from the floor, and like just some of the fouls and some of the things. Luka gets that tech. When did he get that tech? Like
very end of the third quarter.
Yeah, with like 0.7 seconds left in the fourth quarter, and he was asking for it. I mean, he was screaming at refs at the end of halftime. He threw up a shot and he's on the floor, and then he like did the lunge thing with his head, like lunging forward at the ref when he didn't get a foul call. I mean, he was definitely asking for it. So I think the tech was deserved, but I think he also deserved to be upset because of all the wild like calls and not calls. And I think Jason Gallagher said it best on Twitter. Like the whole second half of this season, the refs have changed what is a foul and what's not. They've let a lot of stuff go. He even said as the preview to Game 1, be physical, be the team that's physical first, because the refs are letting a lot of stuff go. And then they just didn't let a lot of stuff go in this game. It was very weird to see how it changed like that. And they, let some things go that they normally haven't, and then they called things that was just a weird game where you're like, okay, we can't get any rhythm, and no team got rhythm in this game.
And before you look at the box score and say, well, the Mavs shot 27 free throws and the Clippers shot 26. Obviously, the Mavs got some intentional free throws at the end. Third quarter, 0 free throws for the Mavericks, 11 for the Clippers. And that was egregious, man. I mean, some of the whistles that Harden gets, it's genuinely bad for the sport. And you could sit here and say, well, you have Luka on your team. I'm sorry. I actually do not think they're that comparable. I get the comparison between those two, but I think there's a big difference in the way that they go about getting fouls. And, you see in a game like this, I mean, Luka, is shooting a lot of jump shots, to be fair, but a player as physical as Luka, 6 free throws compared to, 9 for James Harden in a game where it's like we've dictated what we have going on. Like you've already said that we're going to let you guys be physical and play, and that's great. And that's how all the playoff games have been so far. And this postseason has been incredible so far because of just how low scoring, how defensive it is, and how much of a rock fight all these games are. And then Harden's grifting and getting every single foul call. And it's like, what am I watching? This is disgusting. I'm sorry.
Ugh. It's not even, it's not the free throws. A couple people ask, like, why don't more people talk about this discrepancy and the whistle that certain stars get? You know, the SGA gets brought up a lot with the whistle that he gets, and Embiid, and you know the fouls that he gets. Like, the free throws don't tell the whole story. They don't even tell most of the story for that, because a lot of the fouls are non-shooting fouls, and so like you don't even get credit for that at a certain point. But yeah, I just thought that it was just wild. It was definitely. It was definitely, you can't tell the story of this game without talking about how wild the whistles were and how frustrated the Mavericks got at certain point. Kyrie was getting frustrated and looking at refs going, what is this? He was getting like, hit on certain plays, and you go, how is that not a foul? And there's just a lot of things happening in this game and not being called and being called that we have not been used to the last couple of months here. And the Mavs, I think that's another reason the Mavs were not lucky, but just very, like, they should be grateful to have won this game, because it did not seem like it was going in their favor for a while.
Kyrie's whistle's got to be one of the worst in the league.
Well, he's an airbender, so he just like he floats and he like tries to like miss contact and all that kind of stuff, and I think it's used against him.
Yeah, it definitely is, and also he's not really a complainer either.
Which is why it was surprising to me to see him just, I mean, like right in the ref's face like a couple times, like, hey man, like, what are we doing here?
Oh man, this is just an incredible win. It really is. Get out of here 1-1.
It's a good feeling. It's absolutely a good feeling. The Mavs get out of here 1-1. We'll have an episode tomorrow too, breaking down more of the changes. There's so many more things. I mean, how they defended Zubats at the beginning of the first quarter. Going with Lively later. There's just so many things we could break down from that game. But we will tomorrow, and we will with Dana on Thursday night. So all kinds of great stuff. Guys, thanks so much for being here with us on Locked On Mavs. We'll be back tomorrow. Peace out. Boom.
I'll be in the building Friday night.
Let's go. Another rock fight.
If you see me, don't come up to me. I'll be that locked in.
It's going to be 60 to